time to duel, bitch. What's going on, guys? I know it's been a hot minute since I've done pretty much any upload at all. One of my previous videos I mentioned that I was going to do an upload of like a DPE video and like how to get around that, but then they ended up banning Predaplant on the ban list, so now like nobody plays DPE, so I was like, well, that's a wasted video. So I had it all recorded and I was going to edit it and put it all together, and I did like a little skit with it and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to put out a video that's like not going to be useful to people. So I haven't really had a whole lot of ideas for what to put up recently. So what I actually wanted to do was I actually put together a Drytron deck list that ended up doing really well these past few tourneys. The past 3 out of 4 tourneys I've actually gone undefeated with this list. So yeah, the deck performed really well, and actually one of the things that I ended up winning was this dual disc, which is why I decided to just throw it into the intro because I feel like I kind of had to since I won it with the Drytron deck. Drytron is a really unexpected meta choice right now, especially with tier elements coming out, sprites coming out, and with Sword Soul and Punk Therion kind of dominating the meta right now. I think that this deck has a lot of strengths against a lot of those decks. A lot of the duels I ended up not even winning the die roll, and I still broke through boards and pretty much just OTK'd anyway, just because of how broken cards like Natasha are. The main engine that I was using was like obviously the fairies, but then with the Drake Overlord guy who skips the main phase 1. And I think that's kind of the better choice right now because it doesn't lose to Dark Ruler, which I think is going to be a huge staple coming up this next format. It means that you're not going to get OTK'd on your opponent's turn, no matter what they have, like Dark Ruler, Lightning Storm, whatever. Which means that on the crackback, you can actually come back and kill them anyway, just OTK them. So I think the deck really excels with that and really finds a lot of threats to really challenge your opponent and put a lot of pressure on your opponent that has to deal with them immediately. And then at the end of this video, I'll also do a quick little combo of like Zeta and Diviner. You can actually go full combo with just those 2 cards, which are kind of like the quote-unquote like worst combo, I guess. But I think a lot of people kind of miss out on where the line kind of goes from there. As far as the other lines go, it's pretty much just the exact same thing as with like the Herald build, but instead you're ending on the main phase skip guy instead. And I have like literally like thousands of those videos on my channel already about Drytron, so if you like don't know like the standard Drytron lines, like just definitely go check those out. Pretty much every one of those videos I think has like a combo video with it. But without further ado, I'll just get on into the profile. Alright guys, so we'll go ahead and start off with the deck profile, starting off with the main deck. Sorry for the glare, by the way. The light's like right above the freaking table, so it is what it is for now. That's 3 alpha, 3 zeta, 3 delta, and then 2 gamma. The majority of this is pretty standard, I'd say, so I'm just gonna kind of gloss over it. Well, the 3 alpha, 3 zeta is pretty obvious. 3 delta is now because like I want more names, and delta, the extra draw can be really nice sometimes, especially in a deck where almost the majority of the cards are like just like power cards. I didn't like 3 gamma because I felt that it felt a little bit bricky. Even just the 2 felt kind of bricky, and since gamma can't summon gamma, then I just preferred to just run the 2. Next up we have triple Diviner, and then 1 orange light for the fairies. Diviner is just standard for like your main combo, so obviously you could honestly maybe cut this down to 2, especially because you only have 2 targets in deck anyway, or in extra deck anyway. And then the 1 orange light is just for your turn, building up a board that plays through Nib, because this deck doesn't really set up a whole lot of negates anymore. So I just wanted to make sure I had a way to stop Nibiru during my turn as I'm comboing. Next up for the rituals, we have double Benten, because that's legal now. 1 Editen, 1 Natasha, 1 of the main phase turn skip guy, and then 1 of the Draconids. This is obvious. The 8 to 10 you could maybe cut. I kind of liked it as extra Natasha fodder, also the extra extender for combos. Didn't come in too handy, to be honest, but it was nice to just have like extra fairy searches. You need him for the main phase skip. He also negates the effects of all face up, Xyz, fusion, and synchro monsters, so keep that in mind in case you do leave up like a Beatrice during your opponent's turn, that it will be negated, because that also negates your copies of those cards as well. But yeah, he skips the main phase, so basically what this ensures is that like your opponent goes straight to battle phase, and then after that they go to main phase 2. Now they can't OTK you, you just OTK them on the crackback because Natasha's broken. Draconids is just Draconids, really good for OTKing. Next up, as far as the ritual spells, we have the 2 Meteonis Draconids. I feel like this is a must, especially coming into this next format with Crow everywhere and back row removal because of all of like the hate for Mystic Mine. So I feel like Cosmic Cyclone, like one time somebody Cosmic Cyclone my Meteonis, and I was totally fine because I could just search the other one, so I wasn't too worried about it. Next up for the power one-ofs, as far as the spells go, we have the Instant Fusion, this is for the hand trap negate guy, the Millenniumizer Strict, called by because called by Fafnir. You could probably cut this. I just wasn't really respecting Droll right now because not a lot of players are running it. Plus, like, this gets you either Ritual Spell or Nova. As for the searchers, we have the 3 Nova, 3 Cyber Emergency, and then 2 prep. You can maybe cut 1 Emergency if you're scared about Droll, but into this next format, I don't suspect Droll to be a problem, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue. Preparation is really nice, but kind of cuttable. There were some hands where I just had like too many ways into ritual monsters, but not enough ways into Drytrons. This is a 42 card list, so you can cut a couple cards. I think that the lower the number, the better in this deck. Also, I'm not running Prosp because I wanted the Delta draw live, and I felt like getting rid of the extra deck just kind of wasn't necessary in this deck. Like, I had enough firepower just like through like the regular engine and through the regular searchers as it was already, that I felt like Prosp wasn't necessary. Plus the half damage thing just messes up your OTK potential. What I did run instead, however, was triple talents. I felt like this card was broken. Anytime I resolved this card, I'm pretty sure I won that duel, except for maybe with the exception of 1 duel. Just the versatility of the card is insane. The draw 2 cards I use maybe like once or twice. The take control of an opponent's monster I use 1 time to get the Yugioh off somebody's board, just to make it really easy, because 2800 is kind of a big monster when you're kind of choked on resources, because he also had like 2 hand traps and like an imperm or something like that. And then also looking at my opponent's hand, that's the effect I use the most, probably like 4 or 5 times, and that effect is so broken. Like, having the knowledge of what's in your opponent's hand and being able to like play around that is just absolutely insane. Next up, we also have the 3 Forbidden Droplet. This card's necessary just because there's too many like floodgates and like random like crazy boards out there that like you just need to deal with like on your turn if you go second. And so if your opponent sets up like the Calamities build or whatever, then you could just drop it on your turn. You can send like 2 or 3 monsters if you absolutely have to, just because this deck is that crazy. And then you can like negate like their whole board, and then you're fine. You're still fine to go full combo on your turn as long as they have like no hand traps. So yeah, the combination of like these 2 cards is just insane going second. That's how I was able to break through boards really easily. Next up, as far as the extra deck goes, we have the 2 Mu Beta Fafnir, because you have to play 2. The 1 Lero this bird actually never really ended up going into this. You could probably cut this. I just like the really easy access to Zeus. And then the 1 Downerd for either one of these. And then obviously the Zeus, because Zeus is broken and just one of your boss monsters that you just have access to. Oh, then I forgot, yeah, of course, 1 Beatrice. I actually don't even go into Beatrice that often anymore, just when I need like the extra extenders, but honestly, it's not even that necessary anymore. Next up for the fusions, we just have the 1 Millenniumizer Strict as an instant fusion target, and then the 1 Entis. Entis just to send off Diviner, obviously. You just get a free pop. As far as the synchros, we just have the 1 Herald of the Arclight. I'll probably bump this up to 2, and maybe take out like the Lero this bird or something like that once the new stuff becomes available. Just because of how broken this card becomes with it, the Ultimate Slayer card. This card's really absolutely busted in Drytrons, because you already run at least 1 of each type of card, whether it be Synchro, Fusion, Xyz, and even Link monsters. And so you just send 1 of those and you get a free bounce, and you also get whatever effect comes off of those. Unfortunately, there's not too many great effects for like Xyz or Links. But that doesn't really matter, because you just get it off the board and you can play on your turn. And if you send an Arclight, you get a free search. This card's also not once per turn, so you know, just why not? Just screw it. Do it twice. Do it once with Ultimate Slayer, once with Diviner, and stuff like that. So I think that this card's gonna be really broken in Drytrons coming up, and I'm really excited to play with this card. Next up for the Links, for Link 1, we have Link Kribo, because you absolutely have to. It's too good. 1 IP, because your usual end board is IP plus Herald, and then plus the turn skip guy. Then after that, you can go into either Unicorn or Apollosa. And after that, it's just GG's. It's too many interruptions for your opponent to play through. And then lastly, of course, for OTK potential, we have Boral Sword. As far as the side deck goes, it's like Omega janky. It's really tailored to kind of like what I tend to find at like my locals recently, as well as like just like a lot of like probably like fever dream thoughts that I basically had when I was kind of constructing the side. I kind of just threw it together and just left it how it was. I feel like it did me pretty well throughout the tournaments I played it in, but definitely could use some improvements. As far as like the main staples go, we have triple Droll, and we have triple Raigeki, because this card is just nasty. Just the ability to be able to pop your opponent's whole board, especially when like a lot of decks right now aren't even building a whole lot of like spell and trap negates, is really insane. Obviously there's some matchups where it's not that great, but for the ones it is, it really kind of kicks ass, not gonna lie. Next up is also the triple Twin Twister. This is for back row removal, obviously. Plus, discarding a card doesn't hurt you at all, so being able to pop 2 cards is great, especially saving these for like floodgates against Eldritch and things like that are really nice. And then Droll is also for stuff like Flunder, like just any of the decks that search a lot, Punk, Therion, etc. Ironically enough, it's also a level 1, so you can also use it for Mu Beta. There was one time I won the match because I used this and the Relinquish, the Millenniumize Restrict for Mu Beta, and that won me the game, so fun fact. Next up, as far as the 1-ofs go, we have Quadranids for back row. In theory, this card's great because your opponent can't target it with spell or trap cards, and also if they pop it, you get 2 Drytrons back from the grave. Never ended up summoning it, did side it a couple times, but never ended up coming up. We did have the 1 token collector because we can send it off Beatrice for Sword Soul. Funny enough, I did play Sword Soul and I fucking hard drew it against them, and so I'm sure they were mad about that. And then the 1 Lancia, because Lancia is really good against like certain decks, and you can either send it, you can search it off of Benten, so it's pretty easy, pretty accessible. 1 red reboot for back row, and then the Zombie World and the Necro World Banshee combo for Flunder, basically. This deck hard loses to Flunder, so I wanted like a lot of outs to Flunder, so like these 3 specifically, plus the Droll, are like hard outs to Flunder. I never even playing against Flunder, and then plus like droplets and stuff like that, but yeah, so for the most part, I guess I probably have enough gas, honestly, with Talents, droplets, Twin Twister, and Droll, so I feel like I probably oversided for Flunder, but it doesn't really matter. This comes up sometimes in like other decks as well, but for the most part, I'd probably take these out, especially going into next format. Going into next format, honestly, I would probably take this out because in hindsight, I think it's actually probably better and easier if I actually just swap out to like the standard Herald build instead, especially if I'm going against like a back row heavy deck. Like either one of these Heralds would be great. If I end up keeping in the Preparation of Rites, then I'll play this one because I can search it off prep. And then going into next format, these cards are definitely going, and this is definitely going. I might even take out the Raigekis, but the Raigekis are kind of nice, especially because like into the next format, like you just go like Raigeki and then drop it the Raigeki plus like a monster, and then you just get rid of their whole board, which is kind of nice. But I don't know, we'll see. I'm not entirely sure on the Raigekis yet. It might just be like Lightning Storms or something, but we'll see. And then these I'll probably swap out for Crows because they're also level 1. So like I said, I'm gonna go through really quickly like just the Zeta Diviner combo, just because it's really easy to go through, and it just it's free for getting you through your full combo as long as your opponent has 0 hand traps. So you're gonna go Diviner Effect, sending the Herald. Then you're gonna go Herald Effect to add you the Benten. Then what you're gonna do here is you're gonna go Zeta, tributing Benten, and you're gonna special the Zeta, and you're gonna search for your Meteonis. Then you're gonna go ahead and trigger Benten, and then Benten will either grab you either another copy of Benten or an Editen. If you cut Editen, you just have to grab the other Benten, but if not, then you can grab the Editen. It doesn't really matter here. The important thing here to note is that like when you activate Meteonis Drytron here, you don't want to use whatever one you grabbed in hand, because then you won't have material to use for to be able to dump for your Gamma that you're about to get. So we're gonna go ahead and go tribute the Zeta for the Benten. And then also this combo assumes no hand traps, so just be aware that if they have any kind of disruption, this combo dies. We're gonna go ahead and go into Beatrice. We're gonna go Beatrice Detach to send a card from deck to grave. We're gonna go ahead and send the Gamma. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go Gamma Effect, tributing the ritual monster you have in hand to bring back the Gamma and then the Zeta. One thing to note here actually that I mentioned that I didn't realize earlier was that the you have to have Edison for this combo to work, otherwise you're just gonna end up only be able to ritual summon one more time, and that won't actually get you to the turn skip guy. Actually, you want to go Meteonis here, targeting like Zeta or Gamma, doesn't matter, to add back to hand, that way you get a free Meteonis back. Then we're gonna go ahead and overlay. For Mu Beta effect to dump, we're gonna go ahead and dump the Alpha. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and use the Meteonis effect to send the Zeta to bring back the Editen. And then the Editen effect is gonna grab you back to Meteonis. That way you can use it again. And we're gonna go ahead and go Alpha tributing Editen, bringing back Alpha effect, searching you the Amorphactor Pain. And then now we're gonna go ahead and use the Meteonis one last time, tributing these two, summoning the Amorphactor. And then you can either link this off into IP, which doesn't really do much unless you have an extra card in hand, or you can link this off into like Link Karibo, that way it's like live for next turn, things like that. And so, don't forget to trigger this on summon, because it's an on summon effect to skip your opponent's main phase. But that was pretty much how the combo goes through with just Zeta Diviner. You're probably gonna have other cards in hand, maybe like a Talents, maybe like a Droplet or whatever that you didn't get to use, or like Cyber Emergency, etc., to go like further beyond this. But this is like the very like simple part of it. At least now you're always living till next turn. They have to pretty much get rid of like almost your entire board for them to completely stop you as well, because any one draw into a Drytron or Ritual will get you full combo, as well as this is a free Zeus next turn. You don't want to use the Benten effect, or sorry, the Beatrice effect, because it'll be negated by him, and even if he leaves the field, you don't want to use this because there's nothing much you're going to get off of this anymore without Eva. On top of that, you want the extra material for Zeus, that way when you overlay, you get at least one Zeus board wipe. But yeah, if these guys end up living on the field, then you just use him for follow-up, or whatever you draw. If you don't have much follow-up, you just go Beatrice, run into something, and then you just go into Zeus. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for the deck profile and mini combo. Like I said, this deck is still really strong, especially because Droll is not going to be in this next format, I don't think. I mean, it's really weak against a lot of the meta decks right now. Or not right now. Actually, right now it's actually really strong. But like in the meta decks coming up, post Power of the Elements, this is going to be kind of weak. So I feel like this deck becomes really, really strong. The only thing is watch out for Ghost Ogres, because that's going to be a lot more prevalent as well for Splight. So if you're going to summon Mu Beta and you don't need to use the effect to dump, I'd advise against it, just because Ogre really hurts if they hit this. Because it basically takes like 3 bodies off your board, which is kind of rough. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments. If you guys have any questions about it, definitely feel free to leave them in the comments below. Please leave a like and a sub, because it helps me get the video out and stuff like that and show other people. But other than that, that's about it. Catch you guys later.
Let's duel, bitch. Let's duel, bitch. Oh, now you do it. Sick.